Next up, we'll discuss my article from last week for the Sideline Report. I took a look at the defensive line as it stands currently, and I kind of asked if they're going to be better this year than they were last year's. I guess, Jimmy, how do you kind of feel about the defensive line as it stands right now? And do you actually see them being better this year?
Yeah, it's concerning because Austin Bryan is on the pup, Okwara's on the NFI,
Hmm.
John Atkins opted out. We recently signed Dalen Mack, but he already got waived, so
Yep.
his stay with the Lions was just barely longer than the legendary Lion Robert Ayers. So we are hurting, I think, from a D-line standpoint.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's again, it kind of started to look like a little bit of a strength with some of the people we brought in, and hopefully some of the people from last year would be able to step up. We've talked about Austin Bryan multiple times in the show, but again, him starting on PUP, which is the same list he started on last year, is not a very good start to the season at all.
Yeah, so we're hoping for Deshaun Hand to recover from all his injuries and play a lot more. We're hoping that Danny Shelton and Nick Williams can provide help.
Mhm.
I'm not expecting much from our sixth and seventh round picks, Penasini and Cornell, but maybe one or two of those guys can outperform their draft status.
Believe it, I may be wrong. I believe it was Jashawn Cornell that was actually in the top 4 or 5 in pressure percentage on quarterbacks last year in the NCAA. He might actually have a big role this upcoming year, but yeah, again, and that was the problem with last year's defensive line is that it was health. They again, it came in. It was supposed to be one of the biggest strengths of the team, but none of them could stay healthy. And when some of them were healthy, some of the other ones weren't healthy, and none of them actually got to play all together for a full season. So if that defensive line last year just could have played all together a full healthy season, we could have saw a completely different defensive line than we saw. But it could be the same story this year. If health doesn't come on our side, then it could be the exact same problem as last year. We just have to hope that our secondary can be a lot better than the 32nd ranked defense that it was last year.
Yeah, we might be counting on our linebackers a lot more this year for both pass rush and run stopping.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do think overall, not just the defensive line, but I think the defense in general will be a lot better. Again, I think we've got a little bit more depth in certain areas. Again, some less in some areas, but I think with Corey Underlin, we've talked about it hundreds of times, but I do think the defense will be a lot more aggressive and it'll have a different play style this year than it has in the previous few years.